having a great day. So let's talk about aim. Usually if I talk about aim, I'm talking specifically about mouse control. How well you can use your brain control over your muscles to manipulate the crosshair on your screen. Mouse control. So you want to go from this kunai to the tip of the kunai above, you make bam, and you missed it. Okay, then you maybe have some tracking of this flying thingies around, and you see it's also kind of missing half the time. So that's the typical mouse control things. We will define it a little bit better later. But there's also another definition of mouse control, and this is the one we will use for today. It is your ability, your personal skill to hit your in-game abilities onto your target. To make these abilities connect with your target. So wherever you want them to connect. So that's a very broad definition. And I have to say right away that this also includes things like Reinhardt charge, because clearly it's an ability, clearly you need to steer it in some way, and clearly you can hit or miss. But I don't want to talk so much about Reinhardt's ability. I want to maybe talk, for example, about things like hit your anti-nade. Okay, hit it right between the spots. This is an aimed ability. This is one type of aiming. Okay, it says it's a broader definition of aiming, and that is required over mouse control because I want to discuss about everything about aiming, and because I want to discuss in a way that enables you to learn to hit your stuff. Whatever you're playing, it can be Fire Strike, it can be Nades, it can be your soldier hit scan tracking, it can be your zoom video shots, it can be your Reaper ult, like you connect it wherever you want and then you press Q. I don't have Q right now. So this will be the topic for discussion for today. So with that being said, the question is always, where do we actually start? And typically I want to start with outside factors. Maybe let's actually start in the practice range. So we start with the most direct ones. We take a hit scan ability, like Cassidy, and you want to hit this target back there. Okay. So actually we take a scenario with several targets. Let's take these two bots. We have two bots now in front. You want to hit the head of these bots. 1, 2. You hit both heads. You're an aim god, right? Well, not really. Obviously, this entire scenario is a lot easier than your in-game scenarios, which you usually encounter. Like even this is now a much smaller target, but the target is still not moving. I am not moving. I'm not under pressure. It's a lot easier to hit. There's no shield in front of me. There's no defense matrix. There is no one healing the tracer. There's no one sleeping me. Like you see, the in-game situation is just a little bit different. And that's the main reason why we need to define aim. So, to improve, the goal of this is to improve your aim, or rather your ability to make your skill to make your abilities connect onto your targets. What do you actually need for that? And we start with a very first one. We will start it actually in a watch review. Takes the last ranked game. I hope I played any type of hit scan there. I think I should have.
Now entering mid-tower, ready for
we go to a random spot on the timeline and we skip to Yashi. That is me. So here, beautiful. We are shooting an Anna in front of us. But that is not exactly what we want to discuss. Shooting this Anna. I want to start earlier. So this is me, the blue one, F5, we're playing as the red team. Now if you look at the red team, the first question is, what do you actually want to hit? So you have the definition of aim as your skill that makes your abilities connect to your targets. Then the first question is, what is your target? We can start earlier, what is the ability you actually want to use? Now in this case for Ash, I want to use my scoped left click, okay? I define the ability I want to connect is my scoped left click. Now the question is, which target do I want to connect? Well, let's start with a very big one, an enemy player. Like we don't want to hit the map. We don't want to hit the card. We don't want to hit our own teammates, right? The trivial answer is the enemies. So far so easy. Now, Are all enemies equal? Is a question. What is easier to hit? A hard-scoping Anna that's barely moving? Or a Mercy ping-ponging across the battlefield with no leg protection? What is easier to hit? Which is an easier target? Well, if you said the hard-scoping Anna, you're kind of right. But in this regard, you also have to consider which target has a bigger impact, because of course, this guy's headbox is a lot bigger than this girl's headbox, even though it's currently a little bit bigger than it should be. Ashe has clearly a smaller head size than Ramatra, but still you might want to rather hit the Ashe if you're actually allowed to. Well, why? Because your shot then has more impact. And that is the first thing. If you optimize your aim, be aware of what you are shooting. And this will be important later, because how you aim and how you approach this depends on what you're shooting at. If I'm shooting an Anna, if I flank here and I shoot an Anna that's currently hard scoping onto this guy, she will most likely not see me and behave different. Okay, and that way this is important. Just a context, mostly a context thing. Keep that in mind for aim. What ability are you using? Like in this case, shoot. Which is the target? In this case, the Anna. Now, what if I'm this Ashe? I know I want to shoot the Anna. And then my next question is, where is this Anna? And then here you need to kind of first to start with a rough approximation. By the way, Ashe would also be an okay answer, but Anna deals less damage over distance than Ashe, most cases. So you rather would shoot the Anna and not the Ashe. So then your next question is, where will Anna be? And there is a rough approximation, like you see, the teamfight is going down here, so the Anna will be either in this corner, most likely, somewhere in this area, so where I am with my mouse, somewhere here, or somewhere here where she is, because this is providing her both with a wall covering off her my team, and allowing her a line of sight to the Ramatra and Ashe, which she wants to heal, of course. And then, of course, you use sound and visual cues and or your game sense to understand where she actually is. So now you know where your target is to shoot, and now this all sounds trivial, but try to remember your last game where you played a hero where you asked with a skill that you want to connect to something. Did you actually think about which target you want to hit, or did you just walk randomly on the map and shot at the first thing you saw moving? That's my question to you. Did you actually walk out of the spawn door and actually thought about, oh, I need to shoot the Anna, and then you go left side because, well, you either get an angle right away here or you get a sideline from here. In this case, a flank. I think there's a little, usually this could be defined as off angle because technically you can reach your team without enemy seeing you. So at least part of your team. But in so far forward, I would consider this as a flank. Or did you just walk out main without any thought and just click the first thing that moved, which would be a Ramatra? Did you consider what your actual target is before you were shooting? Did you consider where your target might be before you were shooting? Okay, target selection. Now we are this Ashe. I want to shoot this Anna. This is how far we have come. What do I want to do next? Well, I want to move into a position where I can shoot the Anna in a way where I have the most possible advantages over this Anna. Right? So, easy thing would be, well, typically Highground would be an easy thing. So imagine I would be up here. Look. I can use this left door as cover. I can use the Highground ledge as cover. So I can go back and forth and decide when I shoot. So peek, shoot, go back, peek, shoot, go back in my timing, in my rhythm, in my convenience. And I can also decide to change angles to here and to here and just cover left, right, back and forth. A lot of cover while Anna is basically out in the open. So clearly, the most advantageous position onto this Anna will provide you with an advantage over this Anna. Now, why is this relevant? Why is this relevant? Because of two reasons. The two reasons, actually, one reason, and the reason is called pressure. It is easy to hit headshots when you're not under pressure. So actually go to Vaxter game mode, click some bots' heads, it's actually very easy. Why? Because the bots are not shooting back and you will not die if you miss your shots, right? Nothing will happen. Your statistics in the top left will get a little bit lower, which I have to say is a triggering a negative emotion. That way it's good there is a statistic. But nothing too bad will happen. You have no pressure. And what pressure does is it makes you more nervous. It gives you a time limit on how slow and how fast you can aim. Like and enemies shooting back, so you need to move more. We will discuss this in a later step a little bit more in detail. And basically, the better position will reduce your requirements in this regard. And also, because of the high ground, the head hitbox gets a little bit bigger. And you can control how much of your body you can see. So if you peek like this, you can see the entire Anna's body, while the Anna will most likely not see too much from you. So if you look at this, Kiriko's too far down. Let's let it run a little bit. So now Kiriko's on high ground. What can Kiriko see? The entire bodies, full bodies of the enemy team. Well, what can Hizakuya see? Well, nothing, because, well, she's looking in the wrong direction. But if we zoom out, we go into her head position, which is roughly where her camera will be, somewhere here, I guess. If you look up, you see Kiriko's legs are covered by cover. So you see less of the Kiriko sees of you, because she is on high ground. Right? And the further back you are, so if Kiriko would not be so far forward where she sees over peaks, but is further back, so she sees only the edge, so maybe like this, then basically only Kiriko's head would be visible. So if you go back to our other example, if you stand up here, you see the full Anna, while Anna from down here would see only your head peeking. Okay? Advantageous position. You can aim slower, take your time, you are safe, you have more time to aim. Why is a time required? Well, consider this. If you now open a random folder, you press Windows E combination, it opens Explorer, and now you close it, right? To close it, you need to aim your mouse on the X button of the Windows. How difficult is it? Well, it's trivial. Why would you ever miss? You have infinite time. Aiming is difficult because of time and precision. You need both. If you can be fast but unprecise, like a shotgun, then it's easy. If you can be precise but have infinite time, like maybe a sniper, or crosshair placement, we'll come to this in a second, then it's easy. But if you need to combine both, then it gets hard. So making situations where it's easier to aim, gives you more time to aim, less pressure where you need to dodge and move, gives you more peace of mind where you need to focus only on hitting, not focus so much on what's going on around you. So really harder focus onto your aim. And this makes your aim easier. So, but what we are using on the target we are using, and now we are about how we use it. And the first thing is consider where your target is and what is the best position to hit this target. Now, of course, I cannot go to this high ground, so this is now a compromise. So I shall use the easiest compromise on the map that gives me this advantage. There are several options. So one thing is I could be up here and try to get a shot on the end, but I know the tree's back there, so I cannot see here, but it would be good to shoot the edge from here, for example. So here I have a high ground. I have can cut out per team partially, not fully, but at least a little bit, so it's a little bit better than nothing. Another alternative would be up here. Why? Because I have a Winston shield in front of me that gives me cover. I have a support next to me that basically relieves a little bit of stress on myself. If Anna would be here, that would I could shoot her without the Mercy or Ash interfering, maybe, depending on the situation. There are several options. And now in this case, I have the option of shooting her here because I heard the Anna beings there, basically. And so for in this case, I get the easiest position for me is this one, because I see the Anna, and I have cover from her team, so they cannot shoot back. And I have a health pack, so less pressure. I have cover left and right. So this is the next best position for me to shoot on the Anna right now. Okay, now we have covered this topic. Now the next topic is how else could you make your shot easier? Now consider this. Imagine I would make a flick from my current crosshair position onto Anna's head, which is roughly half a screen away. A quarter of a screen. Yeah, so of the left half, it's basically between the half between the crosshair and the left border, so it's quarter of the stream, right? Quite a big distance. And this flick is actually very difficult, very hard, because you need to move a big distance, and the longer the bigger your pass is, the bigger angular mistakes in your aim will result in a mispositioned crosshair, right? So if I misposition by 1 degree over only a short range, it's basically next to the same pixel. But if it's across the entire screen, 1 degree change moves the left side up a lot. It's like the effect if you hand film something and you zoom in very far, all your shaking in your hand is visible very, very strongly. Like you see this video jumping around a lot, you know this effect. This happens here as well. The closer your crosshair is to NS head, the easier the shots get. So our crosshair should not be here aiming at the wall, our crosshair should be roughly where the N is. Look what I do here. So here, no, okay, go back. Yeah. So I got shot, I know the N is there, and I zoom here right at the spot where I expect Anna to be. Where she could be. So if she would have walked to the right side, from her, of course, from our perspective, it would be to the left, she would be where my crosshair is. My crosshair placement was too low. This is one mistake I did here. My crosshair placement was too low. We will talk about, and this is what we're talking about. The further away your crosshair is from your target, the harder the shot is. Put your crosshair perfectly at the position where enemies can be before you even see them. Because why? It takes away the speed from the equation. You get only left with precision, and precision without speed is trivially easy. So have perfect crosshair placement. It's an easy skill to fix, an easy skill to learn. Understand how high your crosshair should be. Now in Overwatch, crosshair placement usually cannot be perfect because of model sizes, like Ramatra is bigger than Enna, you don't know what will peak you, Widow's bigger than Torbjorn, the head hitbox is individual for each character, how the head moves when they move is different for each character. So it cannot be really perfect at Overwatch, but it should be some approximation. Like look at this, it's now the crosshair height is where Enna was before I was shooting, right? So if Anna would have not jumped, I might have killed her here, maybe. I don't know. But keep your crosshair placement very close to target. And actually, this is actually the biggest tip I can give you for any ego shoot, especially Valorant and Counter-Strike, where you have only the same size models, and crosshair placement needs to really be pixel perfect across all distances. There is no reason to look at walls or screen floors or ceilings or wherever. Put your crosshair only where the enemy can be. There's no reason to look at any other position and be really precise with the crosshair placement. Because it makes your aim faster, and because of the reduced flick distance, also more precise. Both key elements from good aim. Right, crosshair placement. Put your crosshair where the target is. Now, next thing is, we had a little bit with cover and pressure, but the next thing is dodging. How do you actually move? Now let's remember the time. So this is at 2:10. We look at this shot right again. Next thing I want to talk to you about is movement. How do you actually make your own shots harder? Right, let's go to practice range. We take a creep because he can walk fast and doesn't need to zoom. Sorry, Cassidy. So you go here and you make you start at the tracer's head. You make shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. Okay? Now you do the same, but now you move. Shot 1, shot 2, shot 3. Okay? Considerably slower. I need to aim far slower. Okay? If I don't have so much time to aim, but I actually need to peek, then I'm here 1, 2. The first one was a bite shot on the headshot, the second one didn't even hit. Right? It's a lot harder to hit while you move. And now consider I'm not moving in a straight line like I did here, but I'm moving up and down a slope. While I'm erratically moving, while I'm crouch spamming. Now try to hit the head of this static bot that is not even moving, right? It's actually quite difficult. Now I hit the head because the model is quite easy, but now let's do the same with Tracer. I want to hit the Tracer, this easy shots. Now I start moving. Okay? A lot harder, significantly harder. Like, and now at my movement together with the enemy movement, and now the difficulty basically multiplies. So if I move, I know if I move to the left, I already can correct my crosshair position to counter my movement. So basically, if I lose this spot, I lose left and right. I can keep the crosshair somewhat on the screen because I understand I just counter my own movement. If you have trained this, right? Counter your own movement. Now, if you crouch, usually I'm not very well trained at compensate for my crouch. So if I need to go up and down, I actually never trained it. So you see, my crosshair starts jumping if I do that. And now, of course, you combine this with infinite speed. And now, for every motion difference you do, the enemy also can have different states. So I can strafe left, stand still, or right. That means the enemy can also strafe left, right, or stand still. So 3 cases from my side, 3 cases from enemy side. So there are 9 different cases for aim, how the movement on the screen can look like. And now, while you can compensate it with your own movement, like I said right now, you cannot, I repeat again, you cannot compensate for the easiness of reading movement. So the bots move to the right, I clearly see that. If I move left and right and the bot also radically changes, this throws off my own ability to read the target movement. So my brain needs longer to process what it's seeing on screen. Okay? And this effect, I cannot fully compensate. I can partially compensate by keeping my crosshair on the target by basically, you know, doing the motion basically blind. But not fully. So it will make your aim worse the more you dodge. And now we are back to the beginning. Pressure. The more pressure you have, the more you need to dodge, the less precise you can expect yourself to be. You can only expect yourself for perfect, consistent shots if you actually do not dodge. Now, not dodging is very unadvisable in a game like Overwatch, where it's a 5 versus 5 and everything is fully chaotic and random and abilities and stuff. So usually the advice is to make easy strafes. Long strafes one side, long strafes other side. As a compromise. Right? Long strafes left. You see I still miss, and of course long strafes right as well. Okay, long strafes. The longer your strafes are, the more time you have in between shooting. And now here there are two strategies actually: to shoot only while strafing, only to shoot only at end of strafes. So this would look like this. Okay, this is another form, because basically in this case you would not move your mouse too much. You actually aim with keyboard and you just time your clicks when you're on the enemy head. I'm not used to this type of aiming, but for other people it's easier. So they every time they shoot, they change directions. So you have a fraction of time where your movement is close to 0, and they shoot exactly at this peak basically. So there are this type of aim possible. So either while strafing or while stopping and changing direction. So basically always at the end. Always at the end of the strafe you click. Both are possible. I have to say that for Overwatch, for me it works a lot better to aim while strafing. Why? Because the targets can change the direction instantly without accelerating. Which means if you try to time it, you need a reaction time which is limited to like 130 milliseconds or whatever your human benchmark score is. It can go up to 220 milliseconds. And this is enough for the enemy to change direction and be completely outside of your hitbox if you just click it reactively. So if the target dodges at the correct moment, you will miss your shot. Now this works perfectly in Vaxter or at low SR games. But if you do it against higher level enemies that actually can dodge erratically whenever they want, then you will have a hard time hitting shots. Because you rely on random, that the dodging time of an enemy will not synchronize with your aiming time. And your aiming time is kind of not very random. It's usually at the like you have a shooting frequency, right? It's kind of known, also for the enemies. So if the tracer always dodges randomly right when you shoot, she will dodge every single shot basically. And that's why I kind of like to strafe and then make a micro flick right before I shoot. So you don't go fully on the reactive part, but basically right before you shoot, you snapshot the situation where cross needs to be, and then you flick and click as fast as you can, without confirming, of course. You flick and click as fast as you can. I make some extra motions to make it look fancy, but there's nothing to do. You can also just stop at the target. Now, if you have played Raw Mousecontrol 3, you know that this is possible only on very, very, very small ranges. So this will be really a micro flick. Like even here, I cannot even do it with Cassidy. I'm not trained enough. Wow, I'm terrible. Okay. Micro flicks at the end. So a little bit excursion of how your movement changes your aim. There are other content creators or coaches, I have to say, that call this reactive framing, for example, is a term used. I like to use kind of smart dodging, is what I call it usually. But there are other terms thrown around. But it's basically all the same concept, that You need to be mindful of how you dodge because this affects your aim. You need to be mindful how you dodge. And hitting something while you are stationary, hitting something while you move right or left, hitting something at the end of your strafes, or hitting something while diagonally dodging. All require their own skill. They all require their own training. They are a little bit individual. Okay? Important is that you cannot compensate fully by repositioning the mouse, because the more you shake, the harder it is for you to read the motion of the enemy. Of course, against this bot, it's easy to read. So let's load up Vaxstar. Test this yourself. Go to custom games, click on create, settings, import code, type in Vaxstar. Okay. You get a Vaxstar mode, and click on start. You load into an aim training game mode. By the way, currently I'm playing with a little bit lagging because it's on Windows mode for the explanation. Doesn't matter. Okay, so now try to just understand, follow the movement of Anna, for example, while Doofus punches you around. And now do the same while erratically dodging. Do you see how much more thrown off my crosshair is? Like, again, just strafing left and right. And crouch, erratically dodging, spamming. Okay? And just see how much more my crosshair is thrown off on the target. There's a big difference. And of course, if you set this directly hard, now it gets even Tracer now. Let's look at the Tracer. Try to follow Tracer virtually even. He cannot even keep track of her position. Like, even if I want to hit her, I do not even understand where on the screen she is at the moment when I click. Like, I do not even see her correctly. Like, my eyes are too slow. Where is she? There. Like, oh, there she is. Like, it's even hard to even follow her with your eyes. The more you dodge, the harder shots get. Now if you do this again with smooth strafes, now you see like something, there is a chance that I hit something. Now, of course I do this, you can also do this other type of aim. It depends on what you're trained with. Okay, apparently I cannot hit a single shot anyway with this tactic. So I really only can strafe shoot, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Leave game, yes, leave game. So back to our, we had crosshair placement, and now we had your own dodging, depending on the pressure you get from the enemies. The timestamp was 210, right? So let's get back to our 210 timestamp.
Now entering mid, ready for battle.
Watch out for this.
So somewhere around here. Okay. Here we have a shot on Ender that actually hits. You're dodging. Now, I already touched it, but of course the enemy dodging as well. We had at the start, you shoot at an unaware enemy, at someone who doesn't know this user. Why? Because the enemy is not dodging. So, I am dodging, maybe if I see enemies, but what is about the enemy? Is the enemy dodging? And now if you can actually find a target that you can shoot that is not dodging, or, important, is dodging at a 90-degree angle to you. So if you look at here, at Anna's position. Now let me just start Epic Pen to draw on the screen a little bit. Sorry. Give me a second. Epic Pen. This did not work. Try again. Here it is, Epic Pen. So now, you see Anna is currently looking, here is my Anna, and she's looking at this direction. Now, in which direction will she dodge if she uses A and D to dodge, like your usual dodging pattern? Because if you aim somewhere, you usually dodge left and right only. Well, of course, her dodging direction goes 90 degree, like this. Okay, 90 degree. To this side and to this side, okay? What does this mean? Now, if you... Let's pretend the Anna was actually looking exactly at the rotation of the tiles, right? This is, imagine my Anna was here and looking down the hallway on these tiles, which means your dodging would be right along this line. Now, if you look at this same situation, but from a different perspective, like for example from a Cree standing right at the end of this line here, this Anna would not move at all while dodging. To you, she would look exactly the same. So if you, if you look at her head while she's standing here, or you look at her head while she's standing here, is the exact same pixel on your screen. Okay, so her dodging is a non-factor in your aiming. Okay, so we had at the beginning remove your own dodging from the factor, and now you also are able to remove the enemy dodging factor. So it is harder to aim at enemies that are aware where you are. So maybe instead of aim training like a madman, maybe just change your angle and your target. Shoot at something different from a different angle. So the enemies are not aware of your position and are not purposefully dodging your shots. Now this is of course not ultimate like from on and off. Like if Anna dodges direction and you look from here, Anna will still dodge, but the dodge will be slower from your point of view. So like if you look right from the front, then of course the dodge will be the fastest left and right. But the more you go to an angle, the less movement on your screen Anna will do while doing her left and right dodge. Okay? So we had crosshair placement, now we have Anna's dodging. And I repeat, about crosshair placement, be perfect about your crosshair placement. About dodging, be mindful. So if you want to train aim with dodge, be mindful how you move at some of your games. And just think, oh, could I have moved different and made my shot easier? Did actually my movement make my shot unnecessarily hard? Could you have just moved less? Because who is watching me? No one. Why am I dodging? Well, actually not. You see, I'm standing still, partially in between. Why? No one was looking at me. Why would I dodge? No one was looking at me. Okay, let's go back. I move out. So here I shot right at the end of my strafe. Again, because Anna didn't move, so it's actually kind of... here I stand still for the second shot. I was standing still to land guaranteed. And now I was standing still again because no one was dodging. Now, with the not movement, I have to say be really mindful because clients are not synchronized. So what happens? Let's take a neutral background. Take a neutral background so I can draw in peace. So what happens is, if you completely stand still, this is not related to aiming, a little bit often. So imagine there are two walls. Wall 1, wall 2. Now you are the green dot and you look down this hallway. Now, and you're standing still, you're just looking. Now an enemy Hanzo makes a lunge leap to this position and looks in your direction and shoots. On his client, the information that this arrow has hit your face arrives roughly at the same time as on your client, the information arrives that there is a Hanzo. So at the moment where you see, the moment when you see the Hanzo on your client, on the Hanzo's client, his arrow has already hit your face. So if you start dodging when you see the Hanzo, you are already dead. He might miss, he might not miss, but for him you are standing still target. And that is the main reason why you can never stand still. Unless you know the position of 5 enemies without looking at them. Well, of 4 enemies, and the one, because you want to see only one enemy, and you need to know the position of all 4 other enemies, or know that they cannot kill you easily at least. Only then you can stand still. Because if any one of them can find a line of sight to you, they will see you not moving and make the shot very, very easy. Even for slow projectiles like any sleep dart, what is the slowest projectiles? Pharaoh rocket, I don't know what the slowest projectiles are. Sigma stone. You will get hit by a Sigma stone. If he presses E out of cover, strafes out and shoots into your face, you will get hit by the stone at the moment that you start moving. And this is because how clients are synchronized in Overwatch. Because of latency, the package from the Hanzo walking out. The information that Hanzo walked out. So how to say it? On Hanzo's client has information that you're standing here before Hanzo sees it. Then Hanzo strafes out, and on his client, he sees you already. But the information that he strafed out need to travel to the server with a latency of 25 milliseconds, can be 50 milliseconds, and then it needs to travel to your PC as well, with some calculation time in between. So again, 25 to 50 milliseconds plus calculation time, so maybe at 100 milliseconds, right? So the information that Hanzo was moving out arrives 100 milliseconds later on your client. Then Hanzo has seen your face. So Hanzo has 100 milliseconds to react to you standing still in his screen. So that if he reacts fast, if he is prepared, he will fire maybe in 130 milliseconds. So you have a 30 millisecond time window to dodge, and it is not enough to move your head out of the crosshair position, right? So don't stand still, because enemies see you standing still before you can see the enemies. Especially if you're like a widow player and you're hard peeking something, someone dodging out, dodging back in, will have the advantage. And this is basically mostly called peeker's advantage. It works like this in all games. There's just a difference of how much time the server gives the client to dictate when a kill is a kill. And there is that's basically again a very big problem in games like Hunt Showdown, where you have very slow projectiles and basically a 800 millisecond time window where the client kill is registered. And what happens is a player gets peeked by a shotgun, kills the shotgun user, starts running forward, and then dies at 800 milliseconds later. So on his screen, he dies out of nowhere. He doesn't even like the corpse was shooting him back up because the client is lagging so far behind, basically. Okay, but a little bit tangent why it shouldn't always be strafing and never stand still, except in special cases. Like in this case, I would say it's okay because well, most likely nothing will happen in this short time frame. Because I heard the S shots, I can have an approximation where she was. Mercies will not shoot me, so I have a rough approximation that I can still stand still very short time. But that's yeah. But still, again, yeah. So again, about strafing, to your strafe and enemy strafe, both two factors where you have some influence to make your shots easier. Okay, crosshair placement makes shots easier. Understand which target to shoot at, makes your shots easier. Okay, factors that influence your aim, how to make your aim easier. And note that none of the skills can be trained in an aim trainer. If you load Kovacs, 0% of the skills can be trained even remotely in any of the game modes in Kovacs aim trainer. Okay? But they are crucial to land your abilities, to make your abilities connect with the enemies. Okay. Now, now we start with the actual. Now, let's not start with the actual mouse control stuff. Let's discuss how to train these things. Every single skill I mentioned is trainable and something you need to train. You absolutely need to train these skills. You cannot expect them to, I heard a video from Yashikigami, now I go into my games, now I will do it. No, you can't. You can think of one of the topics, and then maybe you can do it while you think about these topics. But as soon as you stop thinking about it, you fall back to a reflexive motion. Now, I have not uploaded the series about how your brain works fully, but basically you have two pathways. One is the reflexive pathways, which is what happens if you autopilot. So if you just play without thinking about anything specific. And this is just automatic behavior, which you just do if you don't think about it. Like the way you move, how you move my crosshair, this is all automatic. I do not think about it. And you have deliberate action, which interrupts the reflexive motion and changes it to something specific. So imagine you walk down a road, which is automatic. You don't think left foot, right foot. You don't think, my quadriceps need to be activated now to move my leg. Now you just walk. You don't think about legs and stuff. Because this is done by your central pattern generators, okay? And these are an automatic system. Like you have thoughts and you have automatic systems. And your thoughts need to go through this to this automatic system generator, and this is what you train. So just knowing something isn't enough. You need to repeat it knowingly, deliberately, so your central pattern generators, your automatic behavior adapts I will show here because it's a little bit further down. So you have the upper motor cortex, and you have in your spine, basically on the between spine and skull, you have the central pattern generator. So the lower part of the brain. I don't know how to call it. There are the central pattern generators, and then you have lower motor neurons, which actually connect axons to your muscles, basically. So you need a top-down teaching for your own brain. So remember, what was the first step? Understand what your target is. Look at your water view and think, and if you walked out and shot on the Ramatra, think about, was it actually the best target you could have shot at? Was it actually the easiest target you could have shot at? Imagine they play Pharaoh and you want, oh, I pick Ash, I need to counter the Pharaoh, and then Pharaoh flies up here. And then you go here out of spawn and think, oh, I need to kill the Pharaoh. And then you walk out here and start shooting at the Pharaoh? Here you have a sideline to the F. Do you shoot the Pharaoh? No, you don't. Much too hard target. Kill the Anna instead. A much easier target. Right? I peek out here. What do I shoot? Wait. So look at this. Look at this. So now you see the screen. What do you shoot? The Ash, the Mercy, or the Anna? Okay, if you shoot the Ash, you want to go most to the left, so to cut off Anna a little bit and shoot at the Ash. If you want to shoot the Mercy, you cut off the Ash, obviously, maybe a little further back, so you cut off Anna a little bit. If you shoot off Anna, you go to the right side here. So which of the three targets which one do you want to shoot? Chat, do you want to say? Which targets do you want to shoot? Obviously, you could shoot Ash, she needs to slowly scope, but she can shoot back. You can shoot at the Mercy, she doesn't shoot back, but she has insane movement. And will not die as long as she heals something. Or the Anna, old lady, not as beautiful as Ash. Has only one eye, doesn't see you from the right side. No, maybe she scopes. Scoping targets are slower. Anna usually does not look back in your direction, but maybe looks at her own team, which gives you a better angle. So maybe Anna is a better target to hit. So if you watched your gameplay and you walked out here and then you shot at the Mercy, well, maybe think, well, maybe I shot at the wrong target. Because maybe, just maybe, the Anna would have been a better target to aim at. And the same with Pharaoh. If you hunt the Pharaoh, maybe think, maybe I should shoot at the tank, which is standing out in the open, if you would standing here, instead of the Ash that is basically flying around here. Right? Maybe if Pharaoh would fly around here, maybe she's irrelevant. Maybe shoot at the tank, which is overextending here in the center of your team. Maybe it's an easier target, okay? Train your... think about which targets you shot and just watch the replay. Just what did you do? Just notify. Did you actually did you shoot at the correct targets at all times? Or do you make mistakes sometimes? Because these are easy to fix mistakes. They're easy to fix. Easy and fast to fix. And just be mindful. Notice it a few times so your central pattern generators can generate patterns where you hunt for targets that are easier to hit. Then your own dodging. Watch your gameplay. Did you dodge too much? Did you look like this? Dodge. It's hard in the replay view because you move like turtle, but you know what I mean. Or did you maybe stand in the open and don't move at all and just get farmed because you didn't dodge? Like, was the dodging correct? Appropriate for the situation? Watch your crosshair placement. Was the crosshair placement perfect? Like, why am I looking at the ground? Like, okay, I walked straight into the wall. I have no idea what I was thinking, but... Okay, how high is the chance that there where my crosshair placement is, an enemy will be at this moment of time? Yeah, not very high, because a random Torbjorn needed to spawn out of the sky and fall back there, and then maybe, or maybe a sliding sojourn maybe would be at this head height. But no, of course I should have aimed at this gap next to the spool, because this would be at head height. Here is what I needed to aim, right? This is a crosshair placement mistake. Look, my crosshair should have been on what is it called? Kios. But it isn't. Crosshair placement mistake. Make perfect crosshair placement. It makes aim a lot easier. I can't stress this enough. Okay. The next one was enemy dodging. Did you hunt for enemies that are actually dodging less? Like we had, again, a target selection. Again, Anna might be an easier target because she's dodging in a different direction. But of course, if the enemy team is walking down here and shooting your Reaper, then maybe you want to be here and shoot from the side. Because for you, then it's easy to shoot the dodging enemies, because again, they are then staying here and dodging left, right. So for you, they dodge back and forth, which means they do not move, okay? Somewhere in between you had position to minimize pressure. Look at only one enemy, not several enemies, so the pressure is reduced. Shoot the targets and do not shoot back, preferably. Like, do not shoot the Kiriko, because he's the strongest DPS in the game right now. Do not shoot Baptiste, you can kill him anyway. Like, you know. Shoot at things where can actually generate pressure. Yeah. Now, all these factors, try to work on them as well. Then we had train your own dodge shooting. Be mindful about how you dodge and shoot in combination of them too. So the first things we kind of train by thinking about one of these topics actively during a game, watching the reward review, doing deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is a term you can look up, you will find plenty of YouTube videos. Now, let's go to Vaxstar. Because, again, import Vaxstar. You can also save it, by the way, you don't need to load it up every time, you can just save it. And why? Because now train your dodging together with the movement. So, train to hit targets while not moving. Right? Train to hit targets while you dodge. Long strafes. Dodge to hit targets at the end of the dodges. Move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot. Train to hit at the end of your dodges. Train to move when change direction. Move, change, move, change, move, change, move, change. Now this is done mostly mirror strafing. So if you strafe at the same direction and same speed as the target, you see I do not move my mouse. And the target stays at the same position on the screen. So if you mirror the movement of your target, you do not need to move your mouse, basically, while shooting. You see this, Anna? You see how it looks a little bit static, but I do not move the mouse. Now the opposite would be anti-mirror strafing, so it looks like this. Now, who's dodging? They're all not dodging, like this.
No one can hold me down.
So if two enemies would counter mirror, they would run around in circles around this arena all the time. Just do training rounds where you're mindful about what you are doing. Each of these shooting patterns needs to be trained individually, right? Because it changes how you retarget and how you control your own mouse. And again, this is not trained as mouse control. This is not trained in an aim trainer. Be mindful about how you move in Overwatch and how this changes your aim. So you get several tools to choose your aim. Now, let's talk about mouse control next. This is, of course, the next big topic. Now, this is a topic which is usually actually trained in the aim trainer. You have two hands, which are usually working together. But for mouse control, usually consider only your mouse hand. So you don't move, you just stand and click. Now, for mouse control, there are several topics you can train. First thing is, you move your mouse to a defined spot on the map. So, for example, let's take these dots above, so they don't move. So I go from dot 1, dot 2, dot 3, dot 4, and back. Now this is of course very easy, because the dots are very big. Okay? Now you can do the same, shoot at the top left corner of every single letter. So from bot, from O, from T, from M, O, V, E, M, E, and T. Then every second letter, B, T, M, V, and so forth. Now the thing is, of course, my aim is slow because I have a slow shooting character, but this of course needs to be fast. This needs to be flicks, right? So speed and accuracy, mouse control.
Learn that one from you.
You need a skill which is called tracking, which means you just keep your crosshair on a target. Now the difference to the flicking before was on the flicking, you notice where your crosshair is, where your target is, and you move the according distance and direction. Now for tracking, you do not move out to the position, but you move with the same speed. So if you take a target, like the Baptiste, you move the mouse at the same speed as the Baptiste. Now the important thing is, the same skill can be done if you're off target. So the Baptiste should just look like a static target on your screen, even if your crosshair is not in the Baptiste. And this skill is called tracking. You track the target's movement and copy them as movement, as speed onto your pad. And of course you need both position and speed. So you flick on the target and then you track it. And then you should be on target basically. And every time you fall off target because your tracking failed, you need to recompensate by a short flick or I would say a slower flick. And usually how you shoot in Overwatch is you track a target and then you make a micro flick at the end.
Throw in the towel.
Because in between shots you have time. In between shots you have time, so use this time to track to reduce the distance between your crosser and the target. Like there's no point to make shots like this. Like they're unnecessarily hard. The closer you are from here to here, the easier it gets. Like I want to kill this O. If I go from T to O, oh you see I already start missing a lot. Of course you can compensate by going slower, but you want to be fast, right? So we need to be as close as possible before you click. Be close to the target with the same crosser placement, so that will be tracked in between shots. And just at the end, before you click, you make a small micro correction onto the target. Okay?
Don't know when to quit.
But mouse control we'll discuss at a later topic a little bit more, because usually if you aim at the correct target and so on, you kind of train the mouse control on your own. But it's still useful to be mindful about your shots in games. So really try to hit targets in your games. You have 1 or 2 games where you actually try to understand why you miss. Which of the topics discussed was wrong. Okay? And that's basically my main message. Aiming as definition as connecting your abilities with the targets you want to connect them to is more than just moving your mouse. There are a lot of skills involved, starting from game sense, which target, where is the target, more to one-on-one skills, how are you dodging, how is the enemy dodging, how is the crosser placement, and then down to mouse control, copy the target movement without shaking. Like if you shake like this, then it's hard to hit. Or if your flicks are kind of slow or imprecise, then you will not hit. So of course they also need mouse control as well. In the end, I want to add one thing which is specific for Overwatch. So up until now, most topics are the same for all first-person shooters, or shooters in general. But the last topic is specific to Overwatch, and that is target reading. Now, targets have specific animations. Like if you look at the Tracer, like how she moves her legs, her upper body, how her head rotates compared to when she rotates, is very specific. If you look at Carefull, she looks different, right? You need to be able to read the target, is Baptiste going left or right? And you can see this by the tilt of this upper body basically. And you need to learn to read the bot and understand where will he be in 100 milliseconds. So you don't want to aim where he is, you want to aim where he will be in a short period of time, the time you require to aim at this position. Target reading. So you do not click where he said was, which was here, it was here, it was here, because then you're always too late. You want to predict a little bit into the future, where he's currently going. And you remember the discussion about standing still target? The same applies to moving targets. If you click, if you hit the target on your screen, you will hit the target. So if you hit on the target at the correct time, he will die, even if on his screen he is already moving the other direction. So which means you should try to predict your enemy just a tiny bit, just a tiny bit. And you need to clearly understand: did you miss because your game sense, your crosser position didn't align with the target? So was it a mouse control error, or did you miss because the target changed direction? Now this becomes more important. How do I switch characters? This becomes more important if you play a projectile DPS. Aspect Zenyatta. Like if you shoot at the target, do I now miss? Because the target changed the direction, or because I cannot aim projectiles? Need to get used to it a little bit. So here, for example, Genji jumped additionally above my projectile. So this miss was not a mistake in the miss on the Gantry was not a mistake. Gantry dodged my shot. There was no chance for me to hit the Gantry correctly because you cannot predict the Gantry randomly jumping. The same goes for Mercy Flight. So if you shoot at the Mercy and she starts randomly flying, you will miss shots. Because at this time frame, you cannot predict anymore where she will be. So your crosser will be at the wrong position, basically. Now again, you can compensate by flicking faster to some degree. But especially if you have projectile character, you cannot have it perfectly. You need to spam shots to some degree on the enemies. So out of 3 shots, you maybe hit 1. Well, if you wish. Of course, in my case, of 20 shots, I hit 1. To be more realistic. And the other thing is, of course, that there are more skills, like understanding when you fall off targets. There are more skills like making mirror strafing. Or anti-mirror strafing. Which then you can later add to your aim to make aim easier for you and the enemy, or make aim harder for you and the enemy. But the thing is that these things mostly apply on one-on-one duels. And for now I want you to focus more on killing things that are easy for you to kill, which are mostly things that do not shoot back fully. Or shoot back while you get healed, they don't. So you do not want to play Cree and pick and peek or shoot at a mercy boosted edge at a long distance. The edge will win! Well, of course, she gets the scope, she has the mercy boost, she will win. You will not hit that. Additional skills that come to dodging in the end, basically. And even then there are more skills like understand where character will dodge, because for example this Kiriko is next to a wall, so she can dodge only right side. So a wall can dodge only right side. Okay? But these are skills that I have not even trained because they are so far down the road in aim training that you usually do not apply them too often. But of course, locked movements. Someone is jumping. Let's see. Genji is a bad example because it's a double jump. So a soldier jumped, and every time someone jumps, you can get 100% accuracy because all the dodging is removed. So you can read the jump and track the jump perfectly. Because during the jump, you lose control over your character. The jump will be finished regardless of what you do. So this up and down motion, you miss at the beginning, but the end should always hit. Who's jumping a lot? Soldier is jumping a lot. Anna is not jumping, she's too old. The Pharaoh is not jumping, she's flying. Is Carpet jumping? I don't know. Kirk is also jumping a little bit. Okay. Just notice when the character jumps, your tracking should not be tracking anymore, but should be prediction, because of the locked movement. Same goes for Ball Slam, for Genji Dash, for Doomfist jumps. These are all predictable movements, which you can in the end abuse. Okay? Which is also making your aim easier without mouse control. Have I missed any topics? I think not. So if you have any further questions, just ask me on stream. Usually I can demonstrate things or explain them a little bit more in detail. But this is of course a very big topic because about every single topic that you can train, I can also discuss 1 or 2 hours. How to train it, how to do it, when it applies, when it does not apply, and so on. So there's a lot of discuss, but I don't want to make the video longer than this. It's 1 hour now. This is a good time, so this will be quick, and see you next time. Bye bye!